Why God breaks the woman he wants to use. Let's get into it. Have you ever looked at your life and asked God the question you were too ashamed to ask out loud? Why me? Why did you call me but allow me to suffer? Why did you show me purpose and allow me to experience pain? God, why did you give me dreams but allow everything around me to fall apart? Why did you choose me and then break me? Because if we're being honest, nobody likes talking about the breaking season. Okay. Everybody loves the testimony, but nobody wants the process. Everybody, loves the platform, but nobody wants the crushing. Everybody wants the oil, the anointing, but nobody wants the pressing. And I believe that there are some women listening to me right now who are in a season where you feel broken beyond recognition. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You believe, or you don't remember who you used to be. You remember the woman, who had energy, the woman who had confidence. You were the woman who had plans, the woman who believed things would work out differently. But now, you're just sitting there in a place you never imagined, a dark place you never thought you would be, wondering if God forgot about you. You're wondering if God changed his mind concerning you. You're wondering if maybe you are not chosen as you thought, but I came to tell somebody something that changed my own life. God does not break the woman he wants to destroy. No, he breaks the woman he wants to transform. So stay and listen to me, because there is a version of you that can only be born through breaking. And I know that because I lived it. Okay. There was a season of my life where everything I thought I would depend on disappeared. When I'm not talking about some things, I mean everything. My health disappeared, my strength disappeared, my independence disappeared. The plans that I had for my life, the dreams, the certainty, all of that disappears. And it wasn't just days. It was years. I was sick for years, for weeks, and there were days I could barely function. There were days when my body felt like it was in prison. There were days when pain became my constant companion. There were days nobody could understand really what I was experiencing, because on the outside I may have looked like I was okay, but internally I was fighting battles nobody could see. And I believe that there are some of you that know exactly what I'm talking about. The kind of suffering that doesn't always leave visible scars, and the kind of pain that makes people think you're exaggerating when you eventually share your testimony. You've experienced that kind of struggle that leaves you feeling isolated because nobody truly understands how hard it is to survive inside your own body. And slowly, one thing after the other began to fall apart. I personally lost my job, the career I worked hard for, the independence I was proud of, the life I had built. Everything was gone. And there is something humbling about losing the very thing that once made you feel secure. It's something devastating about watching your life unravel while everyone else seems to be moving forward. I had to depend on my parents as a grown woman, a woman who was used to helping others, a woman who was used to standing on her own feet, a woman who was used to taking care of responsibilities. Suddenly, I needed help. Suddenly, I needed support. Suddenly, without any warning, I was just unable to do what I once did effortlessly. And if you've ever been there, if you know what I'm talking about, you know the emotional battle is often worse than the physical one, and even that you feel in your body, because it is where pride dies, control dies there, self-sufficiency dies there. It's the version of you that thought you could handle life on your own. It dies in that season. Then for me came heartbreak. I had dreams of completing, graduate school. I had goals, I had plans, I had a vision, but I had to drop out. Not once, multiple times I attempted, but I couldn't do that because my body was fighting against me. Do you know how it feels to keep starting over, to keep trying again, only to have life knock you down, to watch other people graduate while you are wondering if you would ever finish, to carry dreams in your heart that your circumstances refuse to cooperate with? Do you know what I'm talking about? I believe some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you have also spent years watching your timeline fall apart. And every delay has felt personal. Every setback has felt personal. Every disappointment has felt personal, because, you experience the relationships, the lies, the betrayal, the disappointment. I experienced it. The false promises, the people who said they loved me but couldn't sustain that love that they claimed they had for me through action. I have been there. So I know that many of you understand what I'm talking about. The people who saw my heart but mishandled it. I've been in a place where people took pieces of me and that left me questioning my worth. And after enough heartbreak, enough pain, enough loss, enough disappointment, I found myself standing in a place I never imagined. I almost lost my mind. And when I'm talking about, I'm not talking about it metaphorically, literally. I reached a point where emotional weight just became unbearable, where the suffering I was enduring became overwhelming, where the darkness became so heavy that I questioned whether I could keep going. And some of you understand that kind of pain I'm talking about. The kind that leaves you crying when nobody is watching. The kind that leaves you smiling publicly while you are falling apart privately. The kind of pain that makes you feel abandoned by everyone, and sometimes you feel even God has abandoned you. And here's what nobody tells you about being chosen. Chosen women often experience crushing seasons, not because God hates us, but because God is preparing you and I. The Bible says that Jacob wrestled all night and walked differently afterwards. The blessing came, but so did the limp. Because some blessings cannot enter your life until your old identity leaves you. And that's where many women get stuck. Some of us want the transformation without the surrender. We want purpose without process. We want resurrection without crucifixion. We want crowns without crosses. But God doesn't work that way. So hear me. Before Joseph reached the palace, he had to go through betrayal. Before Esther reached the throne, he went through a season of preparation. Before David reached kingship, he went through caves. Before Jesus entered the resurrection, he endured the cross. And I believe that many of you, before you enter into your chosen season, you have to go through the breaking. Because God has to remove everything you are dependent on besides Him. And honestly, that hurts. Because many of us don't realize what we've built our identity around until God removes it. Some of us built our identity around our careers. Yes. We thought it was all we had until God touched it. Some of us built it around relationship until God touched the relationship. There were some of us that built our identity around our appearance. Then God touched their body. Then God did something to that body. We built it around our strength. Then God touched the limitations that comes with that. It's not because God wanted to hurt us. It's because He wanted to free us. You see, I thought my strength was in what I could do. Until God showed me that my strength was in who He was carrying me. I thought my value was in productivity. God showed me my value existed when I couldn't produce. I thought my identity was in achievement. But God showed me that my identity was in Him alone. There were days I couldn't walk. There were days when the wheelchair became a part of my reality. There were days I needed a walker. There were days I needed a cane. There were days that getting from one room to the other felt like I was climbing a mountain. Every step felt humiliating. Every limitation felt unfair. Every setback felt devastating. But looking back at it now, I realized something, that the wheelchair was not my prison, it was my classroom. classroom. The walker wasn't my punishment, it was my preparation. The cane wasn't evidence that God abandoned me, it was evidence He was still carrying me. Because what I learned in those seasons could not have been learned any other way. I have learned to trust God even when circumstances made no sense. I have learned how to worship whilst I am grieving. I have learned how to believe God whilst I am hurting. I have learned how to keep showing up even when I wanted to quit, day in, day out. I have learned that God can sustain a woman long after she runs out of strength. Why? And I believe that some of you that are listening to me are in your own breaking season. Your story may look different from mine, but the pain feels familiar. So maybe you've lost your marriage. Maybe you've lost your health. Maybe you've lost your finances. Maybe some of you listening to me, you may have lost your relationships. Maybe you've even lost your dreams. You've lost your hope. And you are asking God the same question that I asked. Why am I going through this? Can I tell somebody something? That changed my life, even asking God that question. And sometimes God breaks life apart because He's trying to put us together differently. Because the woman He called you to become, cannot be built on the foundation of the current identity that you have. The next version of you requires different levels of trust, different levels of surrender, different levels of dependence. And I teach women every day that what you are going through requires a different level of intimacy with God, and those things are usually forged through the fire, and not comfort. Fire, not convenience. Fire, not ease. I mean fire, whatever fire means to you. And I wish I could tell you that my healing personally happened overnight. No, it didn't. I wish I could tell you that one prayer, one deliverance fixed everything. It didn't. Healing happened slowly, one day at a time, one prayer at a time, one step at a time, one breakthrough at a time. And today, God is still healing me even up until today. God is still restoring me even up until today. God is strengthening me. God is still teaching me. But I am not who I was. I am not the woman who couldn't walk anymore. I am not the woman who thought that my story was over. Somebody hear me. I am not the woman who believed the pain would be permanent. I am not the same woman who thought that God had forgotten about her, because somewhere in between the wheelchair and the cane, somewhere in between laying on the bed, struggling pain, between the heartbreak and the healing, between the disappointment and the restoration, between the breakdown and the breakthrough, God was building someone new. And maybe that's what He's doing in your life too. Maybe this season isn't evidence that you are abandoned. Maybe it's evidence that you are becoming. Maybe the breaking isn't proof that God left you, because God didn't leave you. Maybe it's proof that God is working. Maybe the crashing isn't the end of your story. I can assure you. Maybe it's where the oil that you are desiring comes from, because the women that God uses most powerfully are really the women who had easy journeys. There are women who survived invisible and impossible seasons. There are women who learned how to trust God in the dark. Women that were chosen and went through the dark journeys. They are the women who kept believing while everything around them continued to fall apart. They are the women who discovered that God's grace is really sufficient. And if you are in that place today, I want you to hear me carefully. Do not judge your future by your current pain. Do not measure God's faithfulness by your current circumstances. Do not mistake your breaking for your ending. Listen, God is not finished with you yet. God is not finished with you yet. In fact, there is still purpose in the pain. The fact that you're still breathing means that destiny is still breathing. The fact that you survived what should have destroyed you means that God still has a plan for your life. And one day you will look back and realize that the season that almost broke you is the season that introduced you to the strongest version of yourself. And when that day comes, you would understand now that God wasn't breaking you to destroy you. He was breaking you to reveal who you really are. Because sometimes God doesn't want to use the first woman he met. He wants to use the woman that is born through surrender. He wants to use the woman that is born through the fire, that is born through the faith, that has gone through healing, that is going through, that was born through grace. The woman that was born through surviving seasons she never thought she would survive. God is not an unfair God. And God has not brought you this far to disappoint you. He has brought you this far because you carry something powerful. And I'm here to encourage you. You are going through what you're going through because God is breaking you for something greater, because He doesn't want you to get to the stage of where He's called you to before you break. So you are going through the fire because God is doing something new, because God is going to use the version of you that has gone through the fire, the version of you that has gone through the pain, the version of you that has endured circumstances that is beyond the understanding of man, circumstances that you cannot explain. God has allowed you to go through the fire. God has broken you and continues to break you because you are the woman He wants to use. I hope that was a blessing to you. If it is, why don't you share this video to a woman who is chosen but is going through a season of pain and endurance and chaos, and she believes that God has forgotten about her, because this message will be a reminder to her that God breaks the woman He wants to use. God is not punishing you because He is interested in humiliating you. He's breaking you because there is purpose in what you carry. Don't give up. Don't give in. My name is Aba Mensima Eshun. Shalom and God bless you.